But I want to talk about this point about preserving the team.
Yeah.
What happens with Mr. Fujibayashi now? That part of it. Like, how do you not break up the band, basically?
Yeah, and how do you keep them motivated to?
Yeah.
And not have them burn out on the same idea.
Yeah, because he could say tomorrow, like, I'm sick of this. I spent 12 years making these games.
Oh my God.
Put me on something else.
That does seem like so long when
Right.
you say it like that, right? And he's got to do more
Yeah.
DLC stuff. Yeah, and I can tell Mr. Aonuma is like, he's getting up there in years. He might be thinking about what his next steps might be.
I was really surprised when it was like, oh, it was his 60th birthday. Like, I didn't think he was that old, honestly. I thought he was like
fantastic, but
50, like early to mid 50s.
Yeah,
I was like, oh wow.
That is a very real reality for Nintendo, is the aging out of a lot of these sort of, stakeholder pillar developers that they have on the team. Tezuka-san, Aonuma-san. Obviously, Mr. Miyamoto's role is completely different now, so he kind of found his own way forward. But I do think that that's like a real challenge that team is going to have to grapple with going forward. When we were at Nintendo, there was a big focus towards sort of the latter part of our tenure there, where they were really focused on training new people, training the younger generation, as they would say.
Yeah.
And that's why they have the Splatoon team, because they wanted to give that younger developer generation like agency and autonomy to do something that they want to do, and not just like, here, work on the next Mario game for the rest of your life here at Nintendo. So I think that's a good mentality to have. I do wonder, when that transition might happen. Is Fujibayashi-san going to take over Mr. Aonuma when he retires? Like, what does that look like? What does that team look like? That's a real challenge for them to deal with.
Well, the thing that people may not realize is like the difference between a producer and a director.
Yeah.
So Fujibayashi-san is the director, which means like, and Mr. Aonuma said as much, is like, yeah, all those ideas that are in this game, like he came up with all of those.
Right.
Whereas Mr. Aonuma is more like, I'm overseeing the franchise.
Yeah.
I'm keeping an eye on the budget, the schedule. I'll still like weigh in on creative decisions to make sure it makes sense for the series. But like, I'm not like writing a design document.
Right.
Like, that's him.
Yeah.
So, and I think he now has like the video game developer championship belt. Like, if it's like a wrestling, like I have
he's holding
I am at the top of the mountain.
Yeah.
So fortunately for Nintendo, like, you don't have the problems that you might have like here, where it's like, oh, Electronic Arts is trying to poach me.
They're going to get courted by some other studio.
That doesn't happen. That doesn't happen. He'll work at Nintendo forever.
Yeah, until he decides to retire, probably.
Right.
Yeah.
But
well, we don't know that for sure.
Yeah, you wonder, like, at some point, like, does he want to go in a different direction? Like, does that conflict with them? Like, hey, no, let's keep a good thing going.
Yeah.
Like, that is sort of a underrated internal challenge, and it's a nice challenge to have after you've put out these amazing games.
Yeah.
But
and you think about how he might be interacting with his team. Like, he's a really amazing person. Like, we know him personally. He's I think he'd be very open with his team in terms of like the sharing of ideas and teaching them his way of thinking, which is so unique and creative. So I wonder, like, what does that team structure look underneath him? Like, it may be fine if he decides to retire or do something else. Like, that team might be well suited, well trained to continue on. So.
But if you said to him, like, okay, so in the future, hey, Mr. Aonuma's retiring, we want you to become the producer. Like, he could say no. He's like, no, I'm the creative guy.
Yeah.
It's like in any job, it's like when you become the manager,
you don't get to do the work.
You're not
anymore.
doing the work you were doing before. You're in charge of watching these people.
Yeah.
So,
maybe he'll get really tired of being the director and want to be the producer.
Exactly.
So
you
don't know.
Either way.
Like, it could go either way.
So it's hard to prognosticate.
I think a lot of people move into the producer role when they're like I'm ready to like sort of let go of the creative reins and let other people with new ideas do this, and I can be the one to guide them.
Yeah.
But like, I'm good.
It's unusual, yeah. But he just seems like this incredible unicorn of a game developer.
Yeah.
Who I think, like, even now is like still not getting enough credit. Like, his name is not out there enough. Like people need to print out his picture and put it on their wall and like kiss it every night before bed. That's what I do.
Okay, great, good for you.
give me a Fujibayashi body pillow, like all of these things.
Sexy Fujibayashi mouse pad. Or you?
Yes, please. It's like
it's funny because it is a little bit like he's underrated, because you don't really see him without Aonuma-san, so it's like you put them as a pair.
And when he kind of burst onto the scene with Breath of the Wild, that's when Nintendo started to pull back more.
I know.
So he had a little bit of time at the launch of Breath of the Wild, and then it was like, well...
Back in the cage. Back in that cage.
Back to work, buddy.
Yeah. I did like seeing them both in some videos for the launch of Tears of the Kingdom. It's cool that he was included in those videos, and they weren't just like, oh, hey, Aonuma-san, like, you do this solo.
But you could see Aonuma was like trying to hype him up. He's like, this guy's the man, which was great to see.
Yeah, I think Aonuma's like, I'm ready to hang up the Ultra Hand here. I'm good. Like, I just want to chill. You know?
There is a great article in Washington Post by Gene Park that was a pretty in-depth interview with Mr. Aonuma that I think people should read that if you haven't.
Yeah, it's a good one.
It touches on a lot of stuff that we've been talking about for these last couple questions.
Exactly.